China. This week, Congress is hearing from labor interests and economists lobbying for a crackdown to restore U.S. competitiveness. Is U.S. trade policy toward China good for America or not? Joining us now, John Taylor, former Treasury Undersecretary for International Affairs, now a Hoover Institution Fellow, and author of Global Financial Warriors, and Jonathan Jacoby, Associate Director for International Economic Policy at the Center for American Progress. Jonathan, I'll let you lead off. What do you think? Is U.S. policy good or bad?
Well, Mark, I would say Secretary Paulson has an important long-term approach to offer, but the way it translates to the Congress is that it sounds like Chinese. And the way the Congress is speaking about trade policy right now is in English. What they're focusing on are the 5 vowels. Accountability, A. Enforcement, E. I is implementation, O is oversight, and U is the undervalued currency problem that we see with China. And Secretary Paulson is really not moving fast enough for a very impatient Congress.
Okay. That tells me the Congress doesn't like it, but is it good for America?
It's good for America to see where we have, alignment with China in terms of agreement about capital markets and agreement about which goods and services we can be exporting to China. For example, alternative energy technology is a realm where we should be exporting much more to China because we have a vested interest in addressing climate change together. But the trade policy right now is skewed. It's not really a two-way street. China has been able to manipulate its currency and has a number of other indirect subsidies. And Secretary Paulson has been very slow to really take up some of the issues that Congress and a number of other, on both sides of the aisle are really starting to address.
And John, what do you think?
Well, I think the relations with China here on the economic side are really essential and important. The way Paulson's pursuing this seems to me about right. You know, the Chinese have already moved on the exchange rate, not as much as some like, but it's 7% appreciation since the move in 2005, and it's continuing. It's important to get them to open up some more. I agree with that. Financial services, as the Secretary said, reducing some of the manufacturing tariffs would be important. But you know, the global economy is just moving so well because of the trade policy that we've been pursuing. We need to continue that.
All right.
Well, if I could just tack on to this, though, I just feel like the one thing that's getting lost in all of this is looking at, whether the global economy is working for everybody. And in the case of China, we do want to engage China in a way that they can, for example, make sure that they're addressing the problems of poverty and inequality there. Yeah. And that's not really something that we've seen because Secretary Paulson has not brought the issue of labor rights into the discussion that he's having with China. That's a critical aspect of having long-term building of a global middle class, and in particular in China, that will help U.S. companies.
Okay, John.
Because just like I could interject, because of Chinese growth, 200 million people have been brought out of poverty. That's pretty good. I mean, that's what this expansion is doing, and that's why we need to continue.
It's certainly been impressive so far, but the policies that we're approaching with China is not really addressing the ways that U.S. companies can build in some sense of decent work for Chinese workers. Actually, U.S. companies in many cases have been fighting against the Chinese government's efforts to improve labor rights. This should be part of the discussion that Paulson brings to the table.
It seems to me, part and parcel of this discussion has to be the trade authority, the ability to fast track things, and the trade promotion authority, I believe it's called, which is set to expire soon. Now, where do you stand on that, John? What should happen there?
Oh, it's very important for the Congress to extend that so that the president can continue these negotiations. We have an opportunity to show U.S. leadership to the whole world to bring this Doha round of trade negotiations to conclusion, but we need to have that trade promotion authority. This is a period where the United States can show leadership, be great, and the Congress needs to give the president that opportunity to do that. It would be a tragedy if they pull back on trade promotion authority at this time.
Jonathan, you agree?
Well, I think trade promotion authority, it will depend on the form it takes, but the important thing to recognize is that Congress has now, under the new Democratic majority, expressed a new vision for trade policy. It feels that the current trade policy has failed American workers and businesses, and then the idea is how is that new proposal going to look? And so the TPA bill may look good or bad depending on what's in the details. But Representatives Rangel and Levin have put out a really interesting proposal that deserves, some focus and influence in the debate, because this is really a new vision for trade policy that we haven't seen from the administration so far.
Okay, gents, I'm sorry, we got to go because we got natural gas data coming out, and we need to get a commercial in before that. Thank you very much, John Taylor and Jonathan Jacoby. Liz,
thank you very much.
2.5 minutes, Mark. Thanks.